Great to be speaking again with the Liberal Party's Nicola Centofanti, the Shadow Minister for Primary Industries. How are you, Nicola?
I'm well, thanks, Rick. Thanks for having me on the program.
We wanted to check in with you. You've got a bit to say about this foot and mouth disease situation. You are a vet yourself. Tell us a bit about this disease. You know, it's not just some sort of cosmetic problem for an animal. It's pretty dangerous, isn't it?
Look, it absolutely is, Ricky. And as a veterinarian, the utterance of foot and mouth disease causes an intense feeling of fear. It's a disease that no veterinarian ever wants to see. However, even more so, it's a disease that no veterinarian ever wants to miss. Throughout university, this is the disease that we are always taught to always be alert for. It's highly, highly contagious, and any outbreak of foot and mouth disease that we would have in Australia would see euthanasia or slaughtering of our what's called cloven-hoofed animals, which are cattle, sheep, goats, deer, pigs. It would also bring our meat export market to an immediate closure, and it has been estimated that an outbreak would cost the livestock industry more than $80 billion over 10 years. So, Ricky, this is, again, a disease that sends shivers down the spines of all vet and livestock industry people.
Yeah, it's one of those things that while some might get lost in the facts and figures about the numbers and the dollars and the cost to industry, it's just such a serious disease for the animals themselves as well, which reinforces the point that when travellers are coming back from Indonesia and particularly Bali, where foot and mouth disease has now been detected, people need to do their little bit to make sure it doesn't come back to Australia.
Look, you're absolutely correct, Ricky, and there are some simple ways that foot and mouth disease can be prevented from getting into Australia from travellers, such as cleaning boots and shoes off of all dirt and other matter, and then follow that by washing them with disinfectant, or if that's not possible, disposing of shoes. It's also really important that travellers declare at customs if they've been to any rural areas, if they've been in contact with, those cloven-hoofed animals, the cattle, pigs, sheep, goats, etc., or if they're carrying any food or animal material. And it's also interesting, Ricky, that the virus can actually survive in our nasal passages. So it's also worth people coming back into Australia, worth them staying away from those susceptible animals for a day or two. So I think it only survives in our nasal passages up to sort of 28 hours. But if possible, if people can stay away from animals when they come back into the country, or if they're unable to, blow their nose, wear a mask, and if possible as well, soak all of your clothes in disinfectant and wash them with hot water and dry them thoroughly, as this can help kill the virus.
Yeah, well, I think from the opposition's point of view, what I picked up this morning, you're saying that there needs to be even these, people are familiar coming into the airport, even from interstate, with fruit disposal bins, as you know all too well. From the Riverland point of view, that's important. But you're saying maybe there needs to be disposal bins for thongs and sandals and shoes. People have decided, well, I might just chuck them out.
Yeah, the use of footwear disposal bins is a measure that we are calling for. As you've said, Ricky, we already have bins for other declared prohibited items, such as fruit and other materials. So, the addition of another bin for passengers to dispose of their shoes or footwear should be a fairly easy measure to install. And in addition, Ricky, one of the mainstays of good on-farm biosecurity is the use of foot baths and other disinfectant stations. Now, these don't necessarily need to be elaborate setups, but it's the process of disinfectant that can be really critical in stopping the virus. So, we're calling on the government to consider these options to improve and further strengthen biosecurity measures.
Yeah, this is the footbath one's been one that's been kicked around in the last couple of weeks federally as well. Concerns that the federal government wasn't mandating the use of them. There was initially, as we understood it, a Federal Agriculture Department concern that kids might fall into it or trip into it and it was a health hazard. They're looking at some sort of disinfectant mats. But with it being winter at the moment, people would step outside in a puddle without a second thought. Wouldn't it be helpful to just put them through a footbath as they all come back through?
Yeah, again, it's really about doing everything that we can to strengthen biosecurity measures because, as we spoke about previously, if we do have an uncontrolled outbreak of foot and mouth disease in Australia, it would be absolutely devastating to our livestock.
Well, Nicola, we appreciate you joining us today to talk about that and your experience as a vet, and hopefully we keep on top of this as we do other biosecurity threats here in Australia. Thanks for joining us today on Flow.
Thank you, Ricky.